Emotions are running high as a result of there was a police officer who was shot and killed May 3rd trying to attempt some suspected bank robbers. But the whole idea that it wasn't racial when clearly the majority of the officers were white and the suspects or the brothers who they pulled over were black. Do you think it was racial, or do you agree with the commissioner?
You know, you know, we don't want to become biased. Mm-hmm. You know, we don't want to just immediately say, you know, the white man this, the white man that.
Right.
You know, now clearly by the number of white officers that, you know, that were present, mm-hmm. you know, I don't necessarily believe it was racism. I believe they're fearful. Mm. They're fearful of something. Why does it take 13 armed police officers to not even pull the brothers over properly, but you just snatch them out the car and beat them? What mm-hmm. are you fearing?
Right.
What is in your heart? What do you see coming upon the earth? As the Bible teaches, men's hearts will fail them for fear of mm-hmm. what they see coming upon the earth. Well, we know the heart here is just the organ, but the heart of man is his mind. Right. So what is in the mind of those who are in position of power today that they see coming upon the earth? Mm. They see these young black men who are fearless, who are killing each other. See, and they are fearful that if that mentality ever turn where they begin to love themselves, they fear that. See, and right. they express that in the way that they treat our people in our communities.
Right.
So I don't think it was a certain percent racism, mm-hmm. you know, but at the same time, it's fear.
Right. And I agree with you in the sense that, you know, if they, you know, just reading the story, that if they thought that these brothers were the suspects who killed this police officer, it don't necessarily have to be about race. But I also think that there is a culture within not only the police department in Philadelphia, but in North Carolina, in Denver, in Chicago, to where black people, particularly black males, are looked upon in a certain light. And we're looked upon in a light that we are worse or lower than a dog.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? So there's no value that is placed on black men's life when dealing with the police. Yes, and that's shown time and time. Militarization piece in these police officers in their fatigues and their patrolling. A lot of times that's how they're patrolling the communities now.
Yes, sir.
And, you know, I can't help but to think back when the minister talked about them reinforcing the roads and the highways with steel and concrete so that these all-terrain and war vehicles could roll through the cities when the time was right for them to roll.
Yes, sir.
Is there a war against black and dark people going on in this country?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. You know, not only in this country, but all over the world. You know, we are taught in the Bible teaches in Revelation that a woman was ready to give birth mm-hmm. to a male child, as I said earlier, who was destined to rule the world, not the country,
right.
but the world, with a rod of iron. And the dragon, here's a dragon who stood before the woman. Mm-hmm. Now, in Genesis, he was a serpent. He was just a snake. But now when you get to the end of the book, in Revelation, now he's a dragon.
Right.
And he stands before the woman who's ready to give birth.
Right.
And he let out a great flood after the woman. And the woman flew into the wilderness where there's a place prepared for her for a time and half a time. And so when the earth opened up his mouth and swallowed the flood and helped the woman, the dragon was enraged. Mm-hmm. And he went and rose up and went to make war with the rest of her seed. Now, what does that mean?
Right.
You know, what is that? How does that pertain to the militarization of the police department all over this country? See, the male child who is to rule the world with a rod of iron is the black man and woman of America. See, this is the promise of God to our fathers for the undeserved suffering that we have suffered since we've been in this country.
Yes, sir.
So as a result, we see everything in America shutting down. We see people laying off. We see the jobs moving out, the outsourcing of jobs. We see all of this going on. And at the same time, the economy shutting down. They're looking at 30 to 40 million pieces of baggage. And they're saying, what are we going to do
Right.
with this 30 to 40 pieces of baggage?
Yes, sir.
So they have determined in themselves that they are going to get rid of the 30 to 40 pieces of baggage. So as long as we are killing ourselves, you know, they're happy with that.
Right.
But the minute we start loving ourselves and trying to do for self, they're not satisfied with that. They are not happier with that. They are fearful of that. So they
Yes,
put
sir.
their police department, you know, certainly it's not all police officers. It's not all those. There are some in the force who really want to protect and serve.
Right.
But they are so outnumbered by the crooked ones, those who want to keep their foot on the community rather than uplift the community and help the community. You know, so there are some in there that would like to do it, but the overall picture is, you know, they fear the rise of the black man
Right.
and woman at a time when the country is gripped in war and famine is knocking at the door of the country and pestilence and disease and
Right.
all these different things and earthquakes in diverse places
Right.
are all knocking at the door of America now. So, you know, we have been warned by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan time and time and time again that unless and until we stop killing ourselves, we will not be able to stop them from killing us.
Right.
And the more we kill ourselves, God is going to release them on us,
Right.
and we're going to see more of the death that is taking place of our people at the hands of the police department
Yes,
all
sir.
over this country.
Yes, sir. Now this article, and I said these things keep happening over and over and over again. And, you know, I was just thinking and reflecting on the Muslim program and what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote way back, or I think it was first published in either 1965 or 1966. But point number 6 reads, and remember, again, this is 2008.
Yes, sir.
This was published in either 1965 or 1966, and it reads like this. We want an immediate end to the police brutality and mob attacks against the so-called Negro throughout the United States. We believe that the federal government should intercede to see that black men and women tried in white courts receive justice in accordance with the laws of the land, or allow us to build a new nation for ourselves dedicated to justice, freedom, and liberty. Now, that's something.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? That 43 years later,
Yes,
we
sir.
still asking for the same thing.
Yes, sir.
Now, the Ministry of Information, which produces this program, was one of the ministries that was launched in 2005, but there were other ministries that were launched as well to meet the needs of our people, one of them being a ministry of defense,
Yes, sir.
and one of them being a ministry of justice. Is there a need for such ministries at this time, brother?
Yes, sir, brother. You know, let's start with the Ministry of Defense. You know, look at our communities. In fact, look at what's happening right now in Denver, Colorado. Look at this, the atmosphere of the gang violence that's taking place, you know, due to the tragic loss of a beautiful brother, you know, Michael Asbury.
Right.
And certainly it's other beautiful brothers that's like him that are losing their lives, you know, due to senseless violence. So, you know, what does this mean for our babies? You know, what does this mean for the future of our people here in Denver, Colorado? You know, children are afraid to walk the streets
Right.
because they never know when they might be the next victim of a drive-by shooting. You know, so we must, as black men, stand up. It don't matter if you Christian, Muslim, Jewish, it does not matter. Those who want to stand need to take a stand and go and protect our communities, protect our children. Anyone can come in our neighborhoods and snatch our young girls and even
Right.
our young sons and take them and do things to them that, you know, we hear about on the news that's happening to children every day in this country. So when is the black man going to stand up
Right.
and defend his community,
Right.
defend his wife, his sister, his mother? See, so we are desperately in need of a ministry of defense. You know, and certainly that's just on a small level, you know, just protecting our community. What about the protection of the food that we're eating? You know, what about the poisoning of our parents and our grandparents when they're going into these hospitals?
Right.
See, what about the railroad of our brothers in these courthouses?
Right.
See, we need defense on every level. But the first level is the defense in our communities from the tragic and senseless violence of gang warfare that's going on right now.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. And we're going to move on, brother, to the